Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris Lukhaup and today we will go again to Rio Tapajos, but to Jamaraquá. And in this place we will see species that we have not seen in the places before. It is a very quiet place. It's a side arm of Rio Tapajos. Corey and me enjoyed this place a lot. It was not only the underwater scenes, but also the butterflies around, nature in general. But before we do that, we have to go back to the first place, because in the first video, some followers or people that watched the video told me about some names that are not correct. So I need to correct that because I would like to have the correct names in my videos. That's very important for me, also for the people who keep or want to keep these fish so they can look them up. So I gave a talk at Vivarium a couple of days ago and I showed the video of Tapajos, and there was my friend Roland Numrich who told me that these are not Dichrosis varselli but Dichrosis maculatus. Eike Braselmann told me that this is Nanostomus unifasciatus, and he is right. It's not listed from that place, but it is. Then Stefan and Pleco wrote me in the comments that this is Hypselecara coryphenoides. I know the genus, but I have not known the species, and this is the black fish that appears here on the right side together with Heros. Heros, yeah, obviously we can see that, but this black fish, I didn't know what it was, so I didn't show this part of the video, but Stefan and Pleco Chicho, I hope I pronounced the name right, told me about that. And also Stefan and Niels told me that this is Satanoperca lilith. Stefan also told me that the equidens that I showed before is not Tetramerus, it's probably a Rondoni. Could be. And also the Hypselecara, we see it here. Not that black this time, it's a juvenile, more light and has a little bit of different coloration. And here again we see Equidens rondoni and Hypselecara coryphenoides. About the angelfish there was a discussion as well. But about this I will talk later in the videos when I show you the angelfish in the habitat again. But now back to this amazing place, Jamaraquá. We're snorkeling. Corey is over there somewhere. Yeah, there he is. It's a beautiful place. When I went underwater, the first two species that I saw is just after a few meters were Hemiodus gracilis, is this one with the red fins, a beautiful species, very elegant, and Briconops CF caudomaculatus. Well, I think it's caudomaculatus, that's why the CF. I have seen them in Colombia, in Peru, they are in Brazil. So these guys are very, I would say, common. And Hemiodus gracilis is a species that is sensitive to stress. Their capture, acclimatization and transport can therefore only be successful with the utmost care. This is the reason why these fish are relatively rare in the trade. And all species observed in aquariums to date exhibit a slanter swimming behavior. At least this is what Frank Schaefer told me from Aquarium Glazer. He's the real expert when it comes to fish in Europe, I would say. And later we will see also the cousin of Hemiodus gracilis. It's called Hemiodus semiteniatus. In the comments somebody mentioned that this would not be Mesonauta festivus. On the other side, from the 6 described species, just festivus is known from Rio Tapajos. The others, for example, Mesonauta acora is known from Rio Xingu and Rio Tocantins. So I'm not sure about that. I think it's festivus, but maybe somebody's a real expert on this genus. So here we see parents, and I was wondering, I have not seen the babies when I was filming, why are they not leaving? And later on the video I saw, well, they have a family, of course they are not leaving. And here we see a juvenile hiding in the Utricularia plants and spending some protected time in this plant. Of course, not every fish here is a wow, but some have an interesting behavior, like these guys. Lemoluta teniata. That is the scientific name. And they try, I think, what they're trying is to blend in with the sticks that come out of the water plants, even if they are in open water. They try to simulate that. And this fish was around 20 centimeters long. From the open water I went back to the shore area. I just have seen a red piranha. He surprised me too. It was not so scary. It was just one. And then here we have also Mesonauta, Satanoperca, Krenicichla. And we have also a fish that showed up here, Uaru. I just call them Uaru because the species name is so complicated. I'm not using that a lot because this genus has just 2 species. And both have complicated species names. So Uaru is a genus that is widespread in South America, in the Amazon, Rio Ucayali, Rio Negro, Rio Branco, Orinoco. And these guys grow up to 30 centimeters, as far as I have read. And I find them also majestic. I like even the coloration, even if they are not that colorful, I like the coloration. So these guys live in small groups, as you have seen, like here. They like clear or black water, but usually in the deeper areas. This is what at least the expert told me. The expert said that they are open breeder and lay their eggs also on hard substrate. I never kept them as far as I remember, or maybe I did like 30 years ago for a short time. And here we see Cichla ocellaris and Heros efasciatus. And here in this place, maybe you have seen that there's not too many small fish because the big predators are around. There's Cichla on the right side, Satanoperca, Uaru, and in the background there you have a big Krenicichla. And Uaru, like these guys here, the Brazilian Indio language, that's translated as toad or frog, something like that. This is what I heard. And the species name of Uaru that we see here is Amphiacanthoides. And here shows up another Satanoperca. I think it's Urupari because they are reported from here, but we have some experts that also watch this video, and just in case, if you know better, then you can let me know. Microlepis, very typical form of fish and behavior. I think that is clear, that is Macrolepis. And then a fish showed up that is also very interesting, that I have not seen in other places, Calceus. I think the beautiful red fin, this is what is so fascinating, even if the rest of the body is not that colorful. Macrolepidotus. And I think the guys that we have seen here were about 15-20 centimeters. And then again Uaru, because I followed them. I thought they for sure bring me to the angelfish. But before that, a big group of Krenicichla together with Cichla showed up. It was like 30 animals, I believe. Cichla ocellaris, Cichla temensis. Probably it's all temensis because they can vary in color. But both species are reported from here, Cichla ocellaris and Cichla temensis. It's probably Krenicichla marmorata that we see here. And of course the Uarus on the bottom. And I tried not to move at all, because the problem is if this big group swims fast, I will have all the particles in front of me, and it will take more than an hour to clear up again. And then I saw the angels again. I was really happy to see them in this place. I thought in this place it was better to film them. I had to wait because still I saw the particles of the big group floating around, and I tried to have a good view on them. I just wanted to observe them. And we talked about it before. Somebody mentioned in the comments that it's probably more than just 3 species, which really makes sense because the distribution area of Pteroptylum is huge. It's like gigantic. Of course there must be more than 3 species. And I talked to people, and they also told me there's a lot of wild catch angelfish that come to the trade, They are classified as one or the other species. Like I said, we have 3 species that are valid, but probably there's even more because the morphological differences are there and we can see it. It's just that I am not the expert, but somebody here in the comment mentioned he has his own channel. I will put his name here. Unfortunately, it's in German, so if you want to go and check out his channel, he has an interesting video about angelfish. I looked at it, and so I saw that there's a lot of different types of angelfish and not only the 3. They have different morphological features, from the coloration, from the body form, from the size. So that's why it's interesting, and I wonder why the scientists have not described more species, because it makes sense, but probably research needs also a lot of money, and it's not easy to go after all the types or the different location forms, so it probably would need more time. But always I am very happy to see angels in nature, because it's, like I said in the first video, it's majestic. Even here I could not leave them alone. I wanted to film them all the time. Even if there was other species around me, I preferred to look at the angels. Just look at these pelvic fins, how long they are, and in the trade usually they are not so long. Sometimes they are even crippled, and it's just different to look at them in nature. And this was the biggest Creniциchla group I have seen so far. I think over 50 animals here. You don't see them all because, of course, many try to hide, but look at this big group of Creniциchla. Maybe it's just one family. The female, I've seen her too. She was hiding immediately. Big female. And then the water showed up again. This was in a depth of like 2 meters maybe, so not that deep, but not on the surface. And then the tetras, where there's no big predators, you have the tetras. It's hard to determine the species here, so that's why I don't put a name to them. I have to go really close for that. The earth eaters from the Satanoperca genus, here we see Satanoperca acuticeps, and a new species of Geophagus, I think, but we will talk about that later. These guys grow from like 12-15 centimeters up to 20 centimeters if they are well fed. So if you want to keep them in an aquarium, it doesn't need to be very high, but it should be a big aquarium anyway, so a more deep and long aquarium, but it doesn't need to be high because most of the time they spend on the bottom and trying to find food. Here we see them also looking for food on hard substrate. And the interesting thing about this group is that there's different species groups of Satanoperca. They have different reproductive strategies. Satanoperca acuticeps, the one we see here, and the 2 species of the Satanoperca demon group are open breeders that lay their eggs in a pit dug into the bottom of the water, and then they cover this with sand, pebbles, empty snail shells and other materials. And the species of Satanoperca eurupari of that group, they are mouth breeders. So the species found in the Orinoco and Amazon regions, that would be Satanoperca eurupari, and 2 other species are ovophilic, egg-loving mouth breeders that take the eggs into their mouth immediately after spawning, while Satanoperca leucostica, native to the mountains of Guyana, South America, is a larvophilic mouth breeder that first spawns openly on a substrate and only takes the larvae into its mouth after they hatch. Oof, sounds difficult. And here you can see why they are called earth eaters. They dive with their long elongated mouth into the substrate and sift it for edible items, with the remaining material expelled via the gill openings and the mouth. So that's the reason why they are commonly termed as earth eaters. And here we see Geophagus. I'm not sure what species it is. I heard it could be even a new species. And this is another Geophagus, not the same as shown before. And of course Satanoperca. The temperature 20-28 degrees, the pH 5 to 7.5. That are the parameters that are given for keeping this species properly. And here, this species, I believe that it's Geophagus altifrons, not 100% sure. Here I'm pretty sure about it, it's Leporinus fasciatus. I have photographed them a couple of weeks before I left to Brazil, and I was surprised to see them here. Even if I knew that they come from Brazil, from the Amazon, I was anyway happy and surprised, because I believe that they are a beautiful colored species. This stripes, yellow and black, this pattern is very typical for this species, so hard to confuse with other species. The animal that I photographed has been like 7 to 10 centimeters, and these guys can grow up to 50 centimeters. The biggest one I have seen was like 30 centimeters, but you know, in the water sometimes the fish appear bigger as they are in reality, so I believe they have been between 20 and 30 centimeters. And it was fun to observe them, how they check the hard substrate for food. The large genus Leporinus comprises more than 90 species. In Wikipedia I have found around 70 species, but Frank Schaeffer wrote that there are more than 90 species, and I believe him. And scientists still confront hardly solvable problems concerning the delimitation of the species. So there's probably even more, and like with the angelfish also, there's a lot of work to do with a lot of fish from this region. A very shy fish here in this place was Hypselecara. I observed them under the roots for at least 1 hour, but it took them a long time to come out. And then the angels returned. I was very quiet to not disturb and have all the particles around me. I could observe them for another while, but I think you have seen a lot of angel material here in this video and in the last one as well, so you can see that I'm a fan of the angels. But of course you can never get enough of these beautiful majestic animals. And what we see here is an attack of the wimple piranha Catoprion mento on Heros efasciatus, and we know that these piranhas attack bigger fish to eat their scales. I'm not sure if this was ever filmed. With these guys I'm not 100% sure. They also could be Leporinus. I thought they are Schizodon vittatus, but you will let me know in the comments if I am right or not. And here we have again Briconops. I believe they are Briconops melanurus. I've seen them in a lot of places here, schooling, but also sometimes just 1 or 2 animals. In the water plants hiding Dicrossus maculatus and Wallacea regani. When it comes to water plants, we have here Nymphea lotus. We know this plant also from the trade. It can grow up to the surface. In this case it's too early, probably at this time of the year. In Rio Tapajos they are not ready to grow to the surface because of the conditions. There have been other plants as well that I could not ID. This looks like a cabomba to me, but I'm not 100% sure. And also, of course, there has been the Eleocharis, different types. I explained that before. There's a lot of different species in Brazil. And then we have Utricularia. This plant also eats little insect larvae or little invertebrates. What have you found here?
I found some kind of echinoderms. But to have sure, we have to count the stem flowers. Look.
So what kind do you think it is?
I don't know. Ah, look.
And here you can see this was the water level where it's more dark brown a couple of days ago. So it raises and it drops in just a few days. So the habitat changes totally. Temperature is 102. And we have fish here, baby fish. In Celsius it's 38, 39. And you can imagine that I was really surprised to find fish here. But it was like that. The river itself had 29 degrees Celsius, but in some places that was really strange. I went sideways and the temperature went from like 32, and within a meter sideways it dropped 10 degrees Celsius. I didn't went deeper, just sideways. That was really strange. And some people ask me if it's not crazy to snorkel here, even if I knew there was like caimans, big caimans, 4 meter. There were big anacondas, even jaguars in the forest. And I said, well, it's not crazy, it's brave. But I believe that it's very important that we are brave in life, because the universe, if the universe says it's enough, you have to go to the other side, you can do nothing about it. It doesn't matter. So why not be brave? And I believe also, let fear be your tailwind instead of your headwind. This is what a very smart person has said. And you know, fear happens 80% just in your mind, will never happen. So my friends, be brave and subscribe. You don't have to, of course, I don't want to force nobody. But it would be nice, and then you can see the next video. After this one I will publish, I think, 2 more about Brazil, maybe even 3, because I have so much material. So thanks a lot for watching. I see you on the next one, and take care.